Hi, I'd like to introduce the introduction of the purple transition. So this is a counterplan that I've proposed that could be the start of the solution to phase out fossil fuels, to develop an energy and industrial system to support the next era of human civilization. It also is able to be merged with the circular economy in context of proper resource stewardship. So the task to phase out fossil fuels is upon us. This is not a tickling competition. What we call oil is the most calorifically dense energy source the world has ever known. That is now deteriorating in reliability as an energy source. We need the after oil plan now. So what was proposed, what was called green transition. So the primary power source was wind and solar, supported with battery banks and electric vehicles and hydrogen fuel cells for transportation. My work has found a series of bottlenecks associated with this. The first being is wind and solar are highly variable and they need a buffer. The power that comes out of the wall to power your computer has to be the same current, same voltage, and same frequency to a resolution of 1/1,000,000th of a second. So power needs to be stable. How big this buffer is the bone of contention. Conventional thinking believes only 5 to 7 hours. I now believe that the number is actually close between 20 and 30 days based on data that's been downloaded from the United States Department of Energy. The big problem is we don't have the mineral resources in the ground to produce the number of physical units to replace our existing system as it is now. So the challenge has become, if the green transition won't work, but fossil fuels must go, what do we do? So I've developed what's called the purple transition. So at the heart of the purple transition is a reimagined commodity sector. This is actually the evolution of the circular economy into what I call the resource balanced economy. So the resource balanced economy is a more intelligent stewardship of our resources, where resources themselves are much more highly valued. Wrapped around that, there is a series of technologies, most of which are 50, 60 years old. First technology is liquid fuel fission, or molten salt thorium modular reactors. So this technology is actually already being developed in China. They've already got systems actually up and running. So we are generating electricity and we are generating heat. Now, one unit which fits in the size of a shipping container, and I've actually been to the factory that makes these things, and they'll be operational in 2028. One shipping container can produce 40 megawatts of electricity or 100 megawatts of thermal heat. So these are very small systems that are for the footprint they put out. Second technology was to replace coal in generating high-end heat for manufacture. So this was to use pure iron powder as a metal fuel. And when we burn or oxidize this fuel, we can actually then produce 2000 degrees Celsius, or actually it's 1960 degrees Celsius heat. And this is what we need for manufacture. Third technology is ammonia-fueled ICE, or internal combustion engines, for our long-range transport for things like maritime shipping and freight trains that go between cities. There are problems with hydrogen, as in terms of storage and transport. But ammonia, we know how to transport that. There are a series of challenges with ammonia, though. Ammonia gas at room temperature and pressure, so it needs to be stored under pressure, and it is toxic to living things. So there needs to be engineering things in place to manage that. Also, the exhaust from these systems are nitrous oxides, chemicals which are a problem. Catalytic converter systems are needed to manage that exhaust plume. Someone from Toyota who's developing this technology has assured me that that technology is in place. I haven't seen it yet, though. The next technology is the pyrolysis of human sewage. So sewage that a society produces is a waste product, and it's a very difficult waste product if we don't get right. Pyrolysis is heating without oxygen. What we do is we break that down into syngas. This can actually assist us in the production of hydrogen, which can later be used for recycling the metal fuel and for production of ammonia. The next technology after that is electric vehicles, but with batteries based on something other than lithium-ion chemistry. Sodium chemistries are very good, or the fluoride in your toothpaste can be used to make a battery as well. These things don't have resource constraints. Every battery chemistry I've looked at, though, does have a need for copper, nickel, and a lot of the time cobalt and graphite, all of which face bottlenecks. So this is a partial solution. It's not a complete solution. What it will mean is society will need to redesign and adjust sort of how transport happens, where we have less actions of higher quality. That brings us to the final suggestion is I've proposed a new form of transport that is more communal, to move large amounts of people and large amounts of freight along a single path, and reconstruct our society where our industrial systems collapse onto that. And that's the purple transition in a nutshell. The challenges we have are considerable. First of all, we've left this far too late. So our biggest challenge is time. We don't have the time to implement this. And so what this might mean is it will be implemented on a small scale while everyone else faces these challenges. Excuse me. They face these challenges with what they have now. The second challenge is getting permission from our respective administrative governments to give us permits. Permits and legislation, regulations to allow us to install, for example, a modular thorium molten salt reactor is going to be difficult. The next challenge we have is the complexity of our system, where most of what we need is produced in another country, usually Southeast Asia, China in particular, and our value chains are now very complex and stretched very, very thin, and are dependent on resources that are not as abundant as we hoped. And this combination means that we've got some extraordinary challenges in front of us. So, comparing the green transition to the purple transition, it is very much a different paradigm. The purple transition involves completely restructuring society. It involves simplifying things. The green transition depends on a lot of exotic resources like lithium and cobalt in large quantities. Now, these resources exist, but they don't exist in the quantities that we need. Also, the green transition, it uses energy systems like solar and power, which are fundamentally different to what we use now. We are simply not used to an energy system that is not as flexible. So there are operational bottlenecks associated with wind and solar that our society is simply not ready for. The purple transition is based on a decentralized, simplified version of our industrial systems. There's less units involved, they last for longer, and the materials that actually are used to produce them are also very different. Most of the time, we need iron. A thorium reactor is made mostly of steel and alloys of nickel. There are some rare, relatively exotic materials in there, but there's less of them. And once they're there, they last for longer. An iron furnace is mainly steel and steel and iron. So steel, iron, aluminium, copper, magnesium. These are the metals that are support the purple transition. As such, purple transition is fundamentally simpler than the green transition, thus is probably more practical.